Okay, so this is game one of Esken from Norway against Marmottadellealpi, perhaps from Italy, who knows? Um, and it's a Scandi with a fast attack on g2 from black. So looking a little uncomfortable, but black has sacked quite a lot. So the threat is actually queen takes d3 here, which is why Esken blocks with a knight. So Esken, as I said, um, is from Norway, I believe, and marmottadellealpi, no sign from the profile, but the username sounds Italian. So we're up to the live position with this. Okay, so Esken seems to have weathered the attack, and he has two extra pieces for 2 pawns. So if you can ever move this bishop with check, that will be very satisfying. So he'll try and encourage that king to go to a dark square, if he can. And if not, there's always knight here, check and pick up this bishop, which is also interesting. And hang on, wait, don't pick up the bishop. Is there mate? And there is mate. So he finds it. Okay, so Esken takes a 1-0 lead in this round 4 elimination match. You see this e4, e5, and when the bishop is guarding this diagonal, it sometimes happens that white, rather than putting a bishop on g5, chooses rather to put a knight on g5 and attack the light squares. So marmottadellealpi clearly knows some basic openings, and he's quite happy to play down into theory. This, though, is a very unusual looking move, f4, creating a lot of weaknesses around the dark squares. He had a pawn in hand already to just go pawn at f5, so this looks very creative. And maybe it's not accurate. Maybe it is. I just don't know the theory. But you can see already there are quite a lot of weaknesses around the white king. So just simply takes here, put another pawn here, or a knight here. It's looking a little hairy. So this square is weak. This square is only defended once. This square is only defended by the king. This square is only defended by the king. You can kind of see if you could get hold of a knight and pawn would be mate. So this allows just at f3, I think. So I'm not sure what the plan is. I guess maybe it's to deflect from this diagonal, maybe. Knight takes pawn, rook takes, and then take here, maybe? I'm not sure. Or in some order. Bishop takes pawn, bishop takes pawn, check. Yeah, I'm not sure. Played with a lot of confidence from black, but I'm not sure. He's just going to hide away. So g8 is covered by the knight, and I'm safe. That's what he's hoping for. But white does have his own attack with at h6. The problem with going straight down is then there's rook at h8 and at f7, and then I think white would be winning. So I think you have to go to g8. Oh, or take it, yes. So that was the point. It was trying to deflect the bishop. So what did we see then? King takes at d5 check, king f7, and white's not going to have quite enough. Or is he? Because rook here would be checkmate, so he has to come up. So hang on, this looks desperate. Pawn here check, he'd have to come here, and the rook check is covered. But then there's bishop here check, but then you can cover it. So maybe the king is safe on h5. But no, but it's not, because there's bishop takes knight. So, oh, I see, if you got pawn there, there's no more bishop takes knight. So at h5 then becomes very interesting. Takes, bishop takes knight. So then knight and rook. Yeah, bishop takes knight. You can't take it because rook here for sure will be getting mated. Oh, was that missed? Because bishop takes knight, you'd have to run down, and then with the knight, maybe that king is in danger. Or maybe it isn't. Okay, so instead white opts for safety just to guard this square. So if this, obviously bishop takes, not rook takes. The rook is the defender. The rook is the key piece. So remember, this square is weak, and this square is weak in black's position, if white ever had pieces. But I guess there are no good knight checks that I can see. So these players had never met before today. And Esken is in the tank. He realizes he can't give a bishop, for example. Yeah, the bishop is one piece that will mate him. Bishop here and rook here. So you don't want to give a bishop. Hi there, Blunderman. Bishop takes knight good, or black is mated? Yeah, you don't want to give a bishop, as Blunderman's suggesting, because bishop will get you mated. I thought he'd just back off somewhere, anywhere. Just don't give a bishop. Because I don't see any good knight checks. Okay, bishop here, king here he's hoping for. And fair enough. He's not mated just yet, so that's a good defense at g5. Knight at e2 after bishop takes knight. Bishop takes knight, takes, knight at e2. King into the corner. Don't know. Can't see the mate, that's the only thing. And Esken is now very safe. Just look at, like, the king is going to h6, and literally no piece could mate the king on h6 apart from a knight on f7. But time is low. So takes the rook will threaten mate on g2, but is there a mate himself he has to worry about? Thing is, bishop f7, there's no room for knight on f7. I can't believe he flags. I think he just takes it. What's the problem? I'm going to just look at engine in that final position. If you just take it, there is no mate. Bishop at f5. So king h6 you do get mated because of knight at f7, king h5, and bishop takes pawn. Okay, so that's clear. Okay. But going, okay, interesting position here was obviously check. What does white do here? Rook at g3, yeah, he just has to defend. Okay, takes, e3. So bishop takes e3 apparently was decent, and taking is a bad idea because of knight d2. Oh, I see, you're picking up the rook with check. Okay, so this is a point Blunderman was trying to tell us, which I was missing. So bishop takes knight was a possible move, because you can't take that bishop, but you do have rook takes knight here, and the game goes on. But what happened instead was just this, protecting this knight, then takes. Now that bishop is looking really hairy. Now white should have something here, and the something he has is bishop at f5, king h6, and then he wants knight f7 checkmate, so then he takes the knight. So you only take the piece when you need it. You don't take it early. The problem with taking it now is there's f6, there's all, yeah. So now it doesn't work. King can go to f6. So esken in this final position was actually doing fine, but he had to go to f6, but because of the time pressure, so this is the line I was trying to show, king h5, bishop takes g4 check, king g6, and we can't go here because we want to keep protecting the knight, so use a pawn. So esken, in fact, loses that game, and let's go back to the live action, to game 3. So we have this sort of line. Yeah, so esken just had to play king f6 fast, and he was fine. King h6 was dangerous earlier, but which is why he should have forced it by going bishop f5 first and then taking the knight. That would have been it was just a move order thing from marmottadellealpi, so he didn't quite play it accurately, but got away with it because of time pressure. Now here, esken is giving away a full queen, and he's not doing anything fancy with getting it back or something. No, he's just going to say my king is safe, and I want to take a full queen, and I reckon I've got something. d4, notice the knight is hanging. So ideas might be takes, bishop here, check, king here, and knight g3, and the king would come back, and that bishop would not be very secure. So in light of that, one idea might be to try and do stuff like this, but that's surely going to get you mated because of bishop takes bishop, rook takes, and bishop at d2 kind of ideas. So he has to protect his positions. He does this, and then takes. Yeah, I'm not sure. So the problem has re-emerged on d2. Because you can always go bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop here, but king has got this path back. So I think what he does, well, it would be correct if black didn't have simply this. And black doesn't even go knight takes g2, amazingly. He does something which seems rather strange, because it's inviting this. Okay, so he just slides here. I don't see a mate. But what I do see is he can recapture here, but then is his king in danger? So does his king always have a path back? And any path back goes through here. So if you could ever do a check that also blocked off this square, then and maybe you can. So look, here's an idea. Knight here forces king to come here. If we could have a second knight here and we can't, then that would stop the king from running back. That would be a kind of the concept of how am I going to block the king's escape route. So this is interesting. that the king's going to come here and then here. But you could do something like knight here check, rook here, bishop here, and the king is in a little bit of a, but nothing really obvious. Okay, instead esken goes knight at, so playing very much for safety. And looking at rook here check and rook takes knight. Yes, that was a wonderful idea. Why didn't he do rook here check and the rook takes knight this way? And then queen takes, and then knight here check and pick up the queen. That was wonderful. But we'll have to check that afterwards. That seemed to be working very nicely. So the rook here check takes, queen takes, and then a double check, and pick up the queen, and I think we stay very safe. Okay. So the king is trapped. There's a lot of pressure on e2. Oh, wow! Esken, what a mate! Oh my god! You know, when mate in 1 and you don't see it, I mean, that is just insane. Was it forced? It's just mate in 2. Queen g7, knight at g8, king g5, rook at h5, and the bishop is pinned. Oh my goodness! What a mate in 2. Bishop at f8, knight at g8. And it's like a mate found, not even a mate missed. Beautiful. But I was thinking, just back to this idea here. Yeah, so why couldn't we go knight f4, king h6, rook h4, king g7, rook takes knight, queen takes rook, knight here check, what am I missing? It says bishop takes, so this would be too weak. Okay, so instead of doing that, let's use a new knight and do the same sequence. So knight here check, king h6, rook here check, king g7, and takes, queen takes, knight here check, bishop takes e6, bishop takes queen, and with that sequence, white is completely winning. So notice the importance of keeping that knight on e2 to protect your king, and just very hard now for black to try and cover all the weaknesses. You just go with the knight, for example. Knight here, you can try and run, but it's going to be mate. So pawn here check. If you go this way, it's mate here. If you go this way, it's mate here. Okay, so that would be the way I think esken could have won it, but in the end he won it in an even more beautiful way. And I'm afraid I've just missed all the live action, so I'm really sorry about that. We're going to have, instead of e4, e5, marmottadellealpi is going for London system. I wonder, he's giving away the queen, and he has some beautiful attack going. I mean, I thought he was sacking too hard here, but takes, knight here. I mean, this is some good prep or something, and not even going for something on f7. That doesn't work. But wow. Okay, and esken has ideas. Knight here check, and he reckons he's got mate here. He's just trying to calculate it. So does he? So I can see queen here check, king takes knight, pawn there, and pawn there would be mate, or simply just bishop here. So obviously queen here, king here, and then where's the mate? So king here, essential, otherwise bishop at wolf. Okay, hang on, I haven't calculated the full line. It could come up here, but then, yeah, actually, this is so hard. I think it must. Oh, it is actually decisions. So if king takes knight, maybe it's not mate. I think it is mate, but hang on. Bishop here check, king here. I just don't see it, but this seems safer. You'd have to somehow check on the dark squares as well. So maybe you keep if king takes knight, maybe you go drop a pawn here, king here, and then a bishop on the dark squares. But then the king slides behind. So I'm struggling to see the mate. Oh, knight e5. Toss away the knight. Okay, beautiful. Toss away the knight. Okay, so blocks with pawn, takes, takes. He blocks with a knight? Oh my goodness, that was beautiful. I mean, Esken, he's so good at seeing these mates. It's amazing. So what was the correct move here? Let's just check a look at the engine. King takes g4 was the correct move, unbelievably. Because... And white is completely winning. I mean, this is shocking. f5, the point is you have to keep on running, king g5, and it's hard to cover the dark squares. If you try and do something like this, then there's king h6, bishop takes rook, you're getting a rook, but just at h3 or king g7. So what else? If you try and go, you can't go here because the knight's covering it. So the king just runs. Bishop h6. Oh, if you try and cover with the knight, then you actually do get mated because of at f6 takes and queen takes knight. So the point is you don't even take with the knight. You have to keep running. This is quite beautiful actually. And then knight d7 check. Black's desperate. King takes e6. At f7 check. So this is actually king takes d5 or king takes f7 are both good. King takes f7. Queen h5 check. And key move then, king to e6, queen g6 check. Again, it turns out you have to block, white has to block with a knight. I don't understand why. So maybe taking on f7 was a bit risky. I suppose you took straight away on here. Okay, so this is all very mysterious. Knight b6, king c5. This is kind of hilarious. He just gets away. Queen to d6. Oh. Yep, you're just about fine. You block on c5 and white is fine. Okay, so all of that is trying to say that Esken just found another genius mate in this position by tossing away his knight and going bishop at h5. The point being that if you block, then there was pawn at e4, takes, takes, and that's exactly what he played. And dropping a knight makes no difference. Okay, let's get back to the live action. I think it's kind of crazy. So 3 games to 1, Esken leads, and we see another Scandi. So exploiting the pin to take a free pawn, but is he losing a bishop? No, because it's attacking the queen. So pawn here, queen takes, so knight takes queen with check, knight takes queen comes back, bishop takes bishop, threatening mate. The knight's actually defending, so this looks good. Takes here. This looks good for white, to be honest. But is there an explicit mate threat? I think this might already be a mate threat, or knight at f6. Knight at f6 takes, knight takes pawn, king takes bishop, knight takes this pawn. So knight at f6 might already be a mate threat, and marmottadellealpi has to defend. I think he has to defend. Can't see any obvious way of attacking. So he defends with the queen, which looks solid, and carries lots of threats, like this. So Esken has to respond in kind. But hang on a second, isn't there just queen takes knight? What can white do with a discovered check? Some kind of discovered check, and then you just block. So queen takes knight, unless this queen takes knight, queen takes this pawn. Queen takes knight, discovered check. You could just drop a knight on here defending this pawn. So queen takes knight, you probably have to go queen takes pawn immediately. So maybe queen takes knight doesn't work. So the problem is g7 actually. Feels like a problem. Okay, I'm not sure how d2 helps, but we'll find out. Okay, so black wants knight takes c2. The knight is protected by the pin. And he didn't want the king to go to d2, which is why he dropped on d2. Because if the king goes to d1, their idea is of dropping it a pawn at e2. So I guess that's what's his thinking. The problem is he's running into the same problems. Knight takes queen, knight takes f6. This is not going to work because the queen always covers e2. So, and now knight, anything mates for white here basically. Knight at f6 I think mates. Pawn f7 is probably more convincing. Let's see how exactly white should mate. So pawn, knight, two bishops and a queen. There's only one knight in hand though. Okay, he decides to go defensive. So this is a nice tossing away a pawn to get safe. But how do you get safe here? I don't see. I think there should be a mate here. And I'm not sure what this threatens. What does this threaten? Queen at g1 doesn't seem to be on. Takes, takes, takes. He wants to put a knight on e3, maybe, but okay, all of this is like, okay, very well, but so what's wrong with just at f7? At f7, king takes here, knight at g8 or something. Yeah, I'm not sure I see a mate, but I'd be very surprised. If white didn't have a mate. Okay, so he's just going in, and this is just checkmate. Just pawn here, check. Promote, yep. And queen takes pawn will be mate, so he has to defend with the queen, but the queen doesn't work. Queen takes pawn is still mate. So quite an easy win there from Esken, 4 games to 1. It all came down to this. Ballerman says, what was wrong with at f7? Yeah, I don't know. It's just that what's wrong is that these chess players are just, they think it's all about chess. No, I'm just joking. So here, so white, as I said, is doing very nicely. Takes, queen here, queen at e5, brilliant move. The move I was thinking about here is, does queen takes knight work? And it doesn't because of queen takes g7, so I saw that. So this is an interesting idea. Knight d4, takes, check, and takes. And the problem is there some mate with at f7? And the problem is king takes e7, he's just about okay. And then I was thinking knight at g8, and there is a mate. It's just too difficult for Stockfish to see it. But you and I, Blunderman, we can see these mates. They're just easy for us. But for Stockfish, it really struggles because it involves this magnet idea. King takes, now knight e5, and you can try and run, but king d6. You think you're going to run away. You're not going to run away because queen f4 is checkmate. I was going to put a bishop on and chase him for a few more moves, but yeah, queen f4 is much nicer. So it does require knight at g8, which I saw, and then this magnet idea, which I hadn't quite yet got to. So f7 absolutely is just checkmate. There's no question about it. But instead, he did things which I don't understand. What was the threat here? Like, even if white did nothing, what's the threat of this move? Absolutely nothing. So it was just very hard to defend, though. So I'm not quite sure how black does defend. Queen at f7 maybe is a good defense. But okay, he does this, takes, and and then this is very straightforward. Now, the moment he takes the knight, it's very straightforward. Before he takes the knight, maybe he has some blocking ideas, but okay, I should get back to the live game. Nice one from Esken. Yeah, as Blunderman says, it was all natural moves after at f7. The only thing was, are we 100% sure it works? And Esken was like, I can't guarantee it works. Something went wrong. Okay, so we just missed the whole game, but okay. Marmotta playing a3 b4, and Esken going for 2 pawns for the piece and not wanting to castle into this long diagonal. But by doing this, he's just walked into this. But okay, this doesn't come to pass. And it didn't seem too terrible, this whole position for white until this happened, and now suddenly white's position is just a complete wreck with all of these light square weaknesses, and it's all over. Check and checkmate. So what was the point it goes wrong? I mean even here, was it really that bad to just grab this pawn? I guess it was. Yeah, so still this is quite even. But queen takes knight is clearly a terrible blunder. So it's gone wrong here. So this is the key mistake. Just rook takes g2 was fine. But okay, I shouldn't get stuck on past games. Let's go to the live action. This is actually could be the critical game. So it's another Scandi. He's winning a piece, but losing the rook maybe. Now what is this move here? I'm trying to figure it out. He wants knight here and then knight at f7, I guess. So okay, he does this. Knight f7 comes, he wins the rook, loses the rook, wins a queen, and he's only got a queen to block with. And he just blocks with the queen because it's quite nice because you get to take back this check. He didn't want to block with the knight and have rook on the back rank. That would have been very uncomfortable. But hang on a second, is there something here? Rook here, oh my goodness. Rook here check, king here, pawn here check. No, there isn't, yeah, king here. The point is rook takes queen comes back with a counter check. If it weren't check, then you'd have queen at f1 and it's very close to being mate. But the problem is whenever you take the queen, it's coming with the counter check. Blunderman says, yes, it was risky unless you see the whole line. I agree, for the last game, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's how a strong player loses a game against a weaker player, is mate by assumption, and then they don't execute it. So it's difficult because you can never take this queen unless he blocks up this file, but there are all these pieces. Can you just take some pieces, maybe? He must have calculated this. So queen takes rook, knight takes. Esken must be fairly confident that there's a mate here. Well, he wouldn't have played that, I don't think. Yeah, there could be something like rook here and pawn here sort of ideas. That pawn's not on the 7th rank, so I'm not sure. His plan is always queen takes rook, knight takes, and drop the pawn somewhere. So if the king comes here, the problem is the knight swings back. So you don't want to go somewhere where the knight can hit you. So maybe you go to a light square, but then queen takes rook, knight takes. Well, that seems to be... Yeah, the problem with this is knight here check. And then you go to the light square? That's bad, because then queen takes rook, knight takes, and rook here check, king is mate. Yeah, isn't it? No, yes, no. I can't calculate. Rook here, check, the king comes up. Okay. Oh, that's so chill. Not checking, just calmly. Of course, the king is horrible on this file. What a weird game. Hi there, Abhijit. 1:30 in the morning where you are. My goodness. It's so tempting just to give away the queen and just find the mate, but maybe there isn't a mate. Like knight here, check, king comes up. Yeah, now suddenly this bishop is defending this pawn, which it wasn't earlier. Also, I missed something. No, it's fine. So, confusing position. Hi there, Afgala. At f3, deflecting queen or knight with ideas of g1. At f3. Oh! Interesting. So, queen takes f3. Queen takes f3. This move was very strong. This, because now rook takes queen is not coming with check. Okay, this can work now. Yeah, rook at f1. Takes, 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 takes. Pawn here, check. King here. Now we're not taking with check. Rook takes queen. Suddenly black is in control. Okay, he decides to do it this way. I don't... Hang on, there's something here, right? You could have gone bishop here, check, like you were saying, and then knight here. Oof. And then something like this, and then these ideas. Ah, there's definitely something here. Queen takes f3, rook takes e3. So queen takes f3, rook takes e3. Oh yeah, you don't have this one anymore. Yep, true. This is such a crazy position. Okay, Marmotta's going for the flag, by the looks of it. Okay, the time has come. He has the queen in hand, and he has to find the mate. How do you find a mate when the queen is just sticking next to your king and there's a rook and all these other pieces? It's like he had something for sure at some point. But every square is so well defended. The only square that's not defended is this one. So you want to probably move back the bishop. Oof. It's kind of crazy. What is this move? Okay, this is not working. Yeah, okay, so there will be a mate here. So, where's the mate? Oh yeah, if pawn there, queen there, okay, so knight there, knight takes knight. Yeah, somewhere. Okay. So, marmottadellealpi wins kind of crazy game that I thought he was completely losing, but he just needed... I don't know, it felt like Esken just didn't pull the trigger. So if I just look at the engine in this position here, so knight takes pawn, takes, yeah, so in this position here, at some point white is going to pull the trigger and claim he has mate. So it's takes, takes, and claim we have mate. And this position doesn't quite work. So why doesn't it quite work? Why can't we go takes, takes, rook here, check, and the idea is, so if king to d7, queen g4, okay, but suppose just king d8 and just try and promote a queen. So pawn here, check. So you go king to e7 to try and dodge the queen, and you claim there's no time. So there's no time to get a queen, because here rook at f1 is mating you. So you'd have to get a knight, and apparently there's not quite enough. Okay, so that's why he doesn't pull the trigger immediately. So he does a few more moves, which don't quite so king to d7 was stronger. I was actually suggesting that in the live analysis because you're going to a light square. But okay, and this. So black is doing well, and finds the mate. Pulls the trigger with rook f1. Okay, so and what was the idea? Fgala was saying was I can't remember at which point. Maybe at which point would we go knight f3? I'm not quite sure because if we go at this point, we don't have a knight yet. So it's yeah. So if we went knight f3 at this point, for example, knight f3, queen takes f3. Yeah, I'm not quite sure which point. Before king takes knight. Well, we don't have the knight yet before we take the knight. So, but okay. So I think white. So I suspect white does have something at some point here. Like queen takes, knight takes. This is the kind of critical position if white does have something. Rook at here. If king goes back, knight c6, and a pawn is checkmating. So the white king has to come forwards. And then there's like knight c8, king to c6, rook to b6. Rook to b6 is he might be knight to a7. Okay, so maybe this is interesting. So if he comes up, bishop c4 apparently is mating because of king takes bishop, d3, and so that would have actually worked. But if he never comes up, just goes this and just goes straight back to here, then rook b6. Maybe he's getting away, and then black might be better. But the engine is not very good at analyzing these things. So, like, why can't we go this way? We could go this way, but then king to e6, and we're kind of worrying: is that king getting away? Knight to c7, king to e7, knight to d5, king to d6. Okay, so it's very unclear, but maybe black is actually even getting away. So it looked like white had at least a draw, but it was a very sort of tense position. And while I was just chatting away, Esken did finally seal the win. I'm sorry about this is terrible. Doing after the match commentary. So he's putting lots of pressure on this pawn. He wants to take and then take here. So takes. Black wants to get a knight on f3, so it's a case of light square weaknesses in white's position are hurting him badly. And in the meantime, black stays very safe, gets that knight on f6, sacks his queen for a bishop, gets back on the back rank, and finds the mate. So a fairly straightforward win in that final game, but a very nice series. Okay, so how did Esken play this so nicely? I guess it was he created this weakness on f3 and he really plugged away at it. Yeah, nice win by Esken, 6-2, and he goes through to the elimination, round 5 of the elimination battle, round 5 out of 10 if he wants to become a candidate. I can paste this challenge link for those interested in the Twitch chat, and for those who want to see upcoming matches, I'll put the blog link. So This is the link to the Crazyhouse blog with lots of instructive content, but in the right sidebar are also the upcoming matches. And this match, along with all the others I've streamed, and also playlists of what other people have streamed, you can find on my YouTube. Now, I will be playing Atamek next Friday in my round 4 match. So thanks for the good luck. So Esken will next face MRT. And the winner of that will face the Lone Wolf. And the winner of that, who knows? Either Crazy 8 or Simba or KJJL. So, yeah. And the winner of that, yeah, it just goes on and on. So, this was a round 4 match. That will be round 5. This will be round 6. Is that correct? Yeah, that would be round 6. 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe I've miscounted. 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe there are only 9 rounds of elimination. But okay, I'll have to check again. But okay, we'll see when the time comes. When the elimination gets down to 4 players, then I thought there were 10 rounds of elimination, so now I'm slightly confused. So the Lone Wolf comes in round 6, so you should only have to play 6, 7, 8, 9. So how come? That's strange. Yeah, so maybe there are only 9 rounds of elimination, I just miscounted. But okay, lots of difficult matches in the elimination bracket, because it all comes down to only 4 players in the elimination bracket will make it, whereas there are 8 players in the top bracket who make it. Okay, so yeah, and if you want to see all these games in the top bracket, a lot of these games are happening tomorrow. We have Zixon against Schwanet tomorrow. We have Clearcast against Not Janli, and they will all be on Clearcast's Twitch. So I'm just going to shout out Clearcast and check it out tomorrow. Who else is playing? That's going to be a huge one. Bugzilla against Bughouse Knight. Oh yeah, Janli against 264 Brock will also be streamed, and yeah, so Clearcast against Not Janli, round 4 match. Zixon against Shranet, round 5 match, and Janli against 264 Brock, another round 5 match. So the winner of those round 5 matches are going to be candidates in the 2021 Crazyhouse World Championship. And 264 Brock is Cabbage on Discord, and he pulled off an amazing win against Fumitox in round 4. Okay, so check out Clearcast tomorrow, and hope you've enjoyed today. We've had a few things today, and last night as well. Okay, thanks everyone for watching, and have a good rest of the weekend.